Are your people working hard but not reaching their full potential? The problem is not effort, it is development. At the Modern Observer Group, we transform workforce development into real performance. Our human-centered achievement programs help your team think better, communicate stronger, and execute at a higher level. That means higher employee engagement, stronger leadership, and measurable results across your organization. If you want a workforce that performs, leads, and delivers, it is time to invest in your people. Visit modernobserver.com and discover how the Modern Observer Group helps you build a workforce that wins.
U.S. strikes against Iran continue. Inflation spikes higher. The biggest comeback in NBA Finals history, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. U.S. forces launched fresh strikes on multiple targets across Iran on Wednesday evening, the second straight night of attacks, with military officials calling them a response to Iran's unwarranted and continued aggression. President Trump announced the strikes on Wednesday from the Oval Office, saying the U.S. would be attacking them very hard after Tehran took too long to reach a deal. Iranian media reported explosions near the Strait of Hormuz and air defenses were activated in western Tehran. The escalation began Monday when an Iranian drone downed an Army Apache helicopter over the strait. Both pilots were rescued. Iran answered Tuesday's retaliatory strikes with drone and missile attacks on U.S. bases in Bahrain, Kuwait, and Jordan. The U.S. military also said it had shot and disabled the oil tanker Cerebello in the Gulf of Oman because it violated the American blockade of Iran. An Indian official said this morning that 3 Indian nationals were killed in the attack on the vessel. Despite the bombing, talks continue. A Qatari delegation is meeting Iranian negotiators in Tehran, and Trump said Iran can end it all by signing a treaty. Taiwan test-fired U.S.-supplied HIMARS rocket launchers into the strait, separating it from China for the first time Wednesday, targeting waters where Chinese forces would have to cross in an invasion attempt. Trump has delayed approval of a $14 billion arms package for the island, calling it a very good negotiating chip in talks with Beijing. Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić says relations between Serbia and the United States have undergone a dramatic transformation under President Donald Trump, a shift he says has changed public perceptions in a country where memories of the 1999 NATO bombing campaign remain deeply rooted. Vučić praised Trump's approach to the Balkans, arguing that the administration's focus on economic cooperation rather than political pressure resonated with many Serbs. President Trump and his team so far were working very diligently and dedicatedly on the Western Balkans, Vučić said, adding that many Serbs view his administration very differently from previous U.S. governments. If you ask people in Serbia just to make a comparison between Clinton and Trump's administration or Democrats to Republicans, you wouldn't believe it, Vučić said. It would be 90-10 or 95-5. 8 pro-Palestinian activists with ties to the University of Michigan were federally indicted on charges that they plotted to pressure campus leaders into breaking ties with Israel, allegedly through spray painting threats, breaking windows, and throwing glass jars filled with noxious chemicals into family homes. If convicted on felony counts, defendants could face years in prison. Federal regulators took steps to legalize sports prediction markets nationwide, releasing a proposed framework that would allow platforms like Kalshi and Polymarket to offer bets on game outcomes, stats, and tournament results. Critics argue the move amounts to backdoor permission for sports gambling across the country, bypassing state and tribal laws. Consumer prices rose 4.2% in May from a year earlier, the highest level since April 2023, as the war in Iran continues to fuel rising oil costs. Energy accounted for more than 60% of the monthly increase, with gas prices up 40.5% over the past year, while core inflation, which strips out food and energy, ticked up to 2.9%. President Trump brushed off the numbers, telling reporters that prices would drop once the war ends. The report reinforces expectations that the Federal Reserve will hold interest rates steady at next week's meeting. When SpaceX goes public this week, more than 4,400 current and former employees are expected to become millionaires. While Musk may become the world's first trillionaire, the windfall will extend to engineers, launch workers, and others who took stock as a part of their pay. Honda is recalling more than 880,000 SUVs and pickup trucks in the US because a key rear suspension part can rust and fail, increasing the risk of a crash. The recall covers 880,514 vehicles, including certain 2016 to 2022 Honda Pilot, 2017 to 2023 Honda Ridgeline, 2019 to 2023 Honda Passport, and 2014 to 2020 Acura MDX models, according to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. The issue involves the rear subframe, a structural component underneath the vehicle that helps support the rear suspension. In states where road salt is commonly used during winter, the rear subframe may corrode over time. The New York Knicks lead 3-1 after making the biggest comeback in NBA Finals history. The San Antonio Spurs looked like they would win Game 4 at one point, leading by 29 points. With 2 minutes and 21 seconds left on the clock, the Knicks narrowed the deficit to just 1 point. Knicks forward OG Anunoby made a one-handed tip-in with 1.2 seconds left in the game, bringing the score to 107 to 106 in favor of New York. Game 5 will be played on Saturday night in San Antonio. If the Knicks win it, the championship is theirs. That's the Raw Naked Truth for June 11th, 2026. Remember to like and subscribe to the Raw Naked Truth wherever you listen to podcasts. You can catch every episode of the Raw Naked Truth Daily News Brief, as well as our sister podcast, Carnivore Radio, with news analysis and commentary, and the rest of the Xvadio Podcast Network at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcast app, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.